There's no problem in helping an entrepreneur, but in universal income, that's socialism. That's socialism. That's not capitalism. America, we're capitalists. That's why.
So you think that's disguised socialism?
Well, of course. When you give money away to people, it's like, have they earned that money? What are they going to do with that money? Are there checks and balances on that money?
How do we get the help and direct it where it's needed without wasting it or abusing it?
Education. Historically, it always comes through the pathway of education. We give our children and children's children a proper education, and maybe what we were not able to achieve in our lifetime, they certainly will. That's been the history of America.
But Curtis, how do you help that family that's struggling now, though?
You help them in tutoring. You don't help them in buying Nike sneakers.
Right, but a lot of people would argue that books, you can't eat books. How am I supposed to put food on the table by reading or learning?
You were talking about the basic necessities of life, right?
Right.
Yeah, basic necessity of life. And what kind of food are they purchasing with the money that we give them, which is deteriorating them physically and causing them all kinds of harm? That's a much long-term debate. But just to give people money, I don't know if you've ever gotten anything in your life for free.
Lucky Boys Podcast.
What do you think about the other folks that are running?
I know a lot of them. Nice men, nice women. But I think they're so gripped into their own little world, their own little cosmos. I'll use the perfect one. We have Yang in the Yang Gang.
Andrew Yang is very
He's got to learn what
I think he's leading in the polls.
Yeah, but he's got to learn what a bodega is, right? And then he's got to learn that the A train does not go to the Bronx. I mean, he's trying so hard to be like a New Yorker. Relax, Yang. You'll pick it up along the way, but you're just trying so hard to prove, Dirty Water hot dog in Coney Island. You've never been to Coney Island for a Dirty Water hot dog. Just stick to what you know. Don't bamboozle us. I call it political technology, and they're all guilty of it in certain. But I never see them on the subway. I never see them riding the subway, and they know I'm always in the subway. I've been riding the subways by myself since I was 5 years old, 1959.
Yeah, I could understand, politicians trying to look like the average
Joe.
everyday
Average
guy,
Joe.
everyone around here, right, and that's been born and raised here and living in the city. But do you think that they'll actually be good for New York City? I mean, you've seen New York City through several mayors.
Yeah.
You've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And now you're seeing this whole new generation of people running for office. And do you think that they will be just another de Blasio type?
God forbid. I mean, he's been the
Or
worst.
do you think that it'll be more like Ed Koch, Giuliani?
Might be a combination of everyone, but I must say that they're going to have to lead by what they do, not what they say. For instance, they want to defund the police. Most of them do. Then why are you going to have as mayor police protection 24 hours? Why are you going to be in an SUV that we, the taxpayers, pay for? How about riding the subways and the buses to your appointments? How about foregoing the police? Since you want to defund the police, why should we give you 24-hour protection? I don't have 24-hour protection, and I'm more vulnerable to attacks, as my history has indicated, than any of these candidates, most of whom you couldn't pick out of a police lineup if your life depended on it. So the reality is they want, me, I. But then when it's time for us and we, oh, no, I need it. In fact, one character, Jumaane Williams, he's the public advocate. He hates the police. He wants to defund the police. Do you know where he lives? He lives in the Garrison in Fort Hamilton, an active U.S. Army base where you have to show identification to get in and out to the MPs. He has 24-hour NYPD security. He's driven around in an SUV that we provide, taxpayers, and he hates the police and he hates the military, yet he lives on a military base. Now, is that not the height of hypocrisy? Now, who knows that? Curtis Sliwa. Everyone else, well, I didn't know that. Because you don't know where everyone's bones is buried and who buried it. I know.
Do you think Andrew Yang will be good for New York City?
I think he's idealistic, giving money away to people. Where's he getting this money from? Does he have a printing press? Because $1,000, $5,000? Bloomberg tried that to a degree. A guaranteed income, if you would do certain things, take care of your children better, We never really got the analytics from that. I'd like to see the analytics because it was announced and then all of a sudden, hey, whatever happened to that Bloomberg program? You can't just keep giving money to people because they're not going to value it. If they earn it, boy, do they value it. If you just keep throwing money at them, how are they going to become self-supportive? How are they going to go out there and want to earn money and then bank money and care for their children?
Right. I think Andrew Yang's case for that is that it's not the solution, but it's a good starting point for those people that are struggling. If they wanted to open a business, they can now have the option to, because at least some of their basic finances are taken care of, so they can afford to take more risks and pursue entrepreneurship or pursue a different career where they can contribute stronger back to society.
There's no problem in helping an entrepreneur, but in universal income, that's socialism. That's socialism. That's not capitalism. America, we're capitalists. That's why.
So you think that's disguised socialism?
Well, of course. When you give money away to people, it's like, have they earned that money? What are they going to do with that money? Are there checks and balances on that money? Look, we have people that get food stamps now. A lot of people need food stamps, but they have a card, like a credit card.
A debit card, yeah.
A picture on it. Do you ever see a clerk look at the picture? Half the times I'm in a grocery store, I say,
they
hey,
never look at it.
This is a guy with a woman's picture on the card, and he's not even related to her. Doesn't matter. Swipe it. Wait, you're not supposed to be selling tobacco products, and you're not supposed to be selling liquor products, and yet you're swiping it with a Snap card. We got to have regulations put into place. Do people need help? Subsistence? Absolutely. But there are so many abuses, and people turn a blind eye to it because everybody makes money off it. Everybody makes money off of it, and that's got to stop.
So how do we help people and minimize abuse of the system? Because New York City is one of these cities that's just the variance between the rich and the poor is, I mean, that line of separation could not be greater. I've seen both sides where I hung out with very wealthy people, and then I hung out with people who have that 300 square foot apartment, and I'm just kicking it, having a beer in their studio. And I'm going, I can't believe just how much this person has and how little this person has, and what this person here needs to do just to get by. Sure. And and then here's the thing: there's more people like that person that needs help than there are these wealthy people who are just have a surplus. How do we get the help and direct it where it's needed without wasting it or abusing it?
Education. Historically, it always comes through the pathway of education. We give our children and children's children a proper education, and maybe what we were not able to achieve in our lifetime, they certainly will. That's been the history of America.
But Curtis, how do you help that family that's struggling now, though?
You help them in tutoring. You don't help them in buying Nike sneakers.
Right, but a lot of people would argue that you can't eat books. How am I supposed to put food on the table by reading or learning?
You were talking about the basic necessities of life, right?
Right.
Yeah, basic necessity of life. And what kind of food are they purchasing with the money that we give them, which is deteriorating them physically and causing them all kinds of harm? That's a much long-term debate. But just to give people money? I don't know if you've ever gotten anything in your life for free.
I had to work for everything I've gotten. But what I will say, we came from a very humble beginning. My family, my parents are immigrants, so we had an extremely humble beginning, and we had to work for everything. But I mean, there are other folks that may not be as fortunate of a position where they can have the opportunity to work. Maybe they have mental health issues, right? Maybe they have. Maybe they're handicapped in some way, or maybe the jobs just aren't there anymore, right? Maybe they don't want to. You have the other side of people who really do want to contribute to society, who really want to be useful, but for whatever reason, society, right, the way it stands now, the jobs are all gone, right? The service industries, I mean, or the hours are limited, and I could understand how it can make it very challenging making ends meet, especially if you're supporting a family. So how do we support our citizens moving forward?
Well, you can't rob people being incentivized. If all of a sudden you just give them money and they don't know what to do with that money, and it's unchecked money, how are they going to spend it? Is it going to be spent in the long term to benefit themselves or their children?
Right.
Or is it just going to be spent on entertainment or self-gratification? There are no checks and balances to that. It's basically, let's
do
give
we-
people money.
So because of that, do we just leave that family
Oh, no.
high and dry?
Oh, no, but we've already done that. Liberals and progressives, they've closed psychiatric hospitals. They've intervened in what were rehab programs that forced people with mental health issues to take their properly diagnosed given medication. So, you say you're a liberal and progressive, and yet liberal and progressives, look at all the homelessness. Look at all the emotionally disturbed. What are you doing for them? And yet they say, throw money at them. You really think an emotionally disturbed person, if you just threw money at them, are going to be able to function? No, they're dysfunctional. They need help. Homeless people, too. You just throw money at them, they're going to be able to function. You could give them an apartment, but they have to be taught how to be able to provide for themselves, because long term, you're just handicapping them. Short-term gain, but no long-term gain at all. If anything, they become even more dependent on government.
So give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him how to fish. Can eat.
It all goes back to what I'm talking about in the schools. The demand is vocational, high school, junior high school training in skilled level positions that we have to issue visas for foreign workers. We have a ready workforce right here. And yet we say, no, children have to just have an academic curriculum. That's specious. The way you answer it is you fill the job market need. So if no longer working at a Mickey D's because now they'll do a robot because they don't want to pay $15 to a human being, it's cheaper to use robotics. And I know I used to manage a McDonald's because that's where we're leading to. Then you've got to raise people's skill levels. And you have a captive audience in the public school system. But notice, are they talking vocational training? Are they talking about getting young men and young women, even high school graduates, ready for a job market? The answer is no.